Going live so you get a little better lighting. There you go. That's better. I'm going to hit record on Anchor now. You ready? Here we go. Hello and welcome to Stuff I Heard with Josh Peak. This is episode 25, number 25. If you're watching this on YouTube, I'm doing a live feed right now, mainly just so you can see how sick I am. You may be able to hear it in my voice. I've got a little bit of something going on. We had a little adventure this weekend, which I talked about on the last podcast, about going to see Janet Jackson live. And we got together on Sunday for a birthday party for my grandson. He turned 2 years old. Shout out to Miss Jackson. Happy birthday, little dude. Of course, he's not listening to this, but you never know. One day he might listen back and be like, hey, here's my papa. I was fine. I'm sure you guys have heard the last episode. I was fine. Everything sounded great. I felt great. And then all of a sudden, I went to bed and woke up Monday morning with my throat on fire. I didn't know what in the world had happened. I thought, oh no, I'm sick. Should I go into work? I didn't know if I was even capable of going into work. I thought right away, oh no, I've got this crud and, this is going to be a fever situation and it might be strep throat. And I don't even know what's going on. So anyway, luckily enough, I was able to go in and have a bit of a short day and go to doctor's care. At doctor's care, they sat me down with a doctor and asked me what was wrong. And I was able to, tell him my symptoms and whatnot. And he's like, all right, well, we need to swab your throat to make sure that, there's nothing more going on like strep throat. Okay, that was my main concern too, because if I have strep throat, that means I'm contagious, that I can give it to other people. So I was like, all right, cool, let's swab my throat, let's see what's going on and figure out what's happening. They were able to swab me. It disappeared for a while. I sat there and tried not to swallow because my throat was so sore. It felt like chewed up stuff. And I met them back, within a few minutes or whatever. And the doctor said, all right, so test results show negative, but it could be a false negative. That happens sometimes. But he's like, just make sure to gargle with warm, salty water. And I'm going to go ahead and prescribe you some erythromycin. Okay. Which I understand that to be some type of antibiotic, which, he's like, if it's not this, then it should knock out whatever's there, which makes sense to the common person, right? So when I go home, I'm taking the stuff and I take a nap because I'm just wiped out, physically just wiped out. And when I get up later, I'm feeling a little bit better, but I'm still not feeling 100%. Well, it just so happens that on Tuesday at work, I was able to have kind of a light duty day as well. Come home again and take another nap. And I was feeling completely just drained. And I talked to my mom on the phone last night. My mom's a nurse practitioner. And I was telling her about what was going on. And she's like, the medicine you're taking is not going to help you. She's like, that's not treated for that at all. If you have strep or if you have anything else, what you're taking is not going to help it. She goes, you might as well not be taking anything. She's like, it's worthless. And she described, the two things that it does treat. She said if you take 1,000 milligrams of it at once, it could treat gonorrhea. She's like, I don't think you have that. And I was like, no, not that. She's like, or it could be, to treat pertussis. And she's like, do you have that? I was like, no, I don't have that. I'm not coughing. And she's like, all right, well then, the medicine they prescribed you is worthless. And I hear what she's saying. But I mean, there's only 5 pills in the thing. I've already taken 3 of them. I'm like, I might as well go ahead and take the other 2 in the next couple of days, just finish it out, whatever. It didn't cost me much money. I'm not super pissed off about that. I am pissed off about the fact that my mom's not going to shoot me a line of bull. If this stuff would work, she would say, oh yeah, that'll be fine. That's what you needed. But, right away, she's adamant about the fact that this is not what needed to be prescribed. And so I'm a little pissed off at the doctor who didn't need to prescribe me that. Especially since it wasn't going to help fix the problem. I mean, geez, why bother? He has nothing to gain by it. It's a generic drug. I think that and my thing of cough drops only cost me like $6. So, I mean, it wasn't like he's making any money on the deal other than my doctor's appointment, which he could have just been like, yeah, it'll pass. I still have to pay the doctor appointment, right? So why didn't you just prescribe me the stuff that would have worked, like amoxicillin? That would have worked. But no, don't worry about that. Don't do the right thing. I don't know why. But anywho, this is the part of the show where I like to do my fake advertisements. So I want to give a shout out to Ricola. Ricola! I'm sure you've heard the commercials with the cherry honey flavor. This has saved my throat a lot. I ate a bag of these the other day while I was at work. It was the only thing keeping me from just feeling like my throat was on fire. It's good stuff. Now, it is not keto friendly because one of the ingredients on here says sugar. Sugar. It even has, it's not keto. So it still tastes good and it makes my throat feel better. So big shout out to Ricola. And Kleenex. We'll do an unofficial commercial for Kleenex because it makes my nose feel good when I have to blow my nose. And of course, Mio water because I'm squirting Mio stuff in my water and it makes it taste good. Got to stay hydrated. Stay hydrated, my friends. I am live on YouTube, and Dylan Chambers is writing in, and he's like, "Hey, buddy, what's up?" Hey, Dylan. I know if anybody's listening to the podcast right now on Anchor, they're going to be like, "What? Who are you talking to? Stop it." You're right. I should talk to you guys. This is an experiment. I wanted to see if I could do live through the laptop while doing a recording of Anchor on the mini iPad. Right now, it's not on because the screen's off, but see, it's recording. You got to try something new every once in a while, right? Plus, when I came in here to record, I realized that I hadn't charged the battery on the big Canon. It looks very ominous, doesn't it? This is normally what I record on sitting on the desk, but the battery hadn't been charged, so I needed to go ahead and charge it. I got it plugged in. I'll have it ready for Saturday. I'm going to try and do a joint podcast with somebody this weekend. I got a few people lined up that I'm going to try and work something out with. If it doesn't work out, it'll be a solo. You never know. I would like to talk about some of the things that I've listened to or watched lately. Got to have multiple devices to look up your crap, right? So let's look on the phone here. I've listened to a great podcast by Perry Noble called Second Chance Church. It came out this past Sunday. It is called Blessings in the Bubble. Blessing in the Bubbles Part 2. And in it, he talks about the difference between those people and people that you know. In other words, it's easy to separate, hey, One Lonely Farmer's on. It's easy to separate people that you don't know as those people and the people that you do know by name, and how sometimes we can separate ourselves by our differences, not being able to communicate and to connect with those other people by labeling them as those people. It's a great sermon. Check it out. It's really good. It's about a half an hour worth of talk, and I guarantee you it's worth it. You're going to like it. I finally downloaded the Keto for Normies by Everyone's Urging. This is what the little icon looks like. Keto for Normies. It's got a cartoon picture of Matt and Mega. And I've been making some more of their keto bombs. I made some this past weekend that my wife absolutely loved. It's the cookies and cream recipe mixed with some sugar-free chocolate chips and some macadamia nut, a little bit of stevia, and sea salt. So it's got everything you want. It's got that sweet, the fat, and the salt taste all at the same time. And it kind of helps fill you up. That extra fat helps fill you up. And so you're like, oh, now it's like a satiated feeling. The word satiated I got from another podcast recently. I listened to Bert Kreischer's podcast, number 299, with Zach Bitter. Zach Bitter is a 100-mile marathon runner, these ultra marathon guys. Zach had heard a podcast where Bert was on Joe Rogan's podcast talking about how he ran the LA Marathon with no training. And, he went on and on saying about how, I don't advise doing that ever. But this is what I did. And he chronicled it. If you go on anything that Bert has media-wise, you can see he took video of himself. He put it on Instagram. He put it on YouTube. He put it on Facebook. He ran the LA Marathon, 26.2 miles with no training. Just said, I'm going to go do it. And his friends were like, you're an idiot. That's so stupid. And he's like, yeah, but I can do it. And they were like, you can't. There's no way you can do it. everybody except for Joe. Joe was like, you could do it, but it's gonna really suck. And Bert was like, no, I got this. I got like a special Mickey Mantle gene. I can do this. I can party, and then I can go do this, and I'll be fine. And he did it. And Zach Bitter had heard this discussion, and as an ultra marathon runner, he was like, I think I can get Bert down to a sub 4.5 hour marathon. And so they got together, they did a podcast. It's a good podcast. There's a lot of information on there, a lot of information about running, about pacing yourself, about training. There's a lot of information in there about dieting too. And in there, he talks about basically getting Bert on a keto type diet, where I talk a lot about eating fattier meats and not so much, no bread, no pasta, all the stuff you heard me say. So I don't know if Bert's doing it, but Zach is willing to train with him. They're also talking about doing another marathon with Ari Shafir and Zach's wife. I guess she's also an ultra marathon runner, but they're talking about doing it all together. And that's always fun to watch. You know, I talk a lot about how we can build community and we can work together to do that. And this is another example of that on a broader spectrum, of course, but there's nothing saying that we can't do it at our level. So go check out that podcast. I think you'll enjoy it. I also listen to, what else I listen to? My brother and his wife have a podcast on Anchor called The Old Red Truck. Anchor. You go into the listen file and you look up The Old Red Truck. They've got the 3rd episode out. The 3rd one is great. They talk a lot about my brother's journey into keto and how he's inspired us to also lose weight. And it's great. It's a good podcast. They're doing a podcast as a couple, and as educators, they have to balance out time between when they can record and when they can't. And so it is a little hit or miss on the scheduling, and I know that they're trying, and you can tell by listening to the 3rd episode that they're getting more comfortable talking on the microphone and they're more conscious of an audience listening. So good job, you guys. Keep it up. I think you're doing great. I also checked out you've heard me talk about him. Brandon Hochul has a podcast called Organic Phrases on Anchor. The first one was just an intro. It wasn't very long. It was basically him just saying hello and welcome, and this is what I plan on doing. He's got his first episode up. It's about 14 minutes long. It's interesting. It's not what I do. But, you know, everybody's supposed to do something a little bit different. It'd be boring if we all did what I do, right? If we were all the same. I mean, think about yourself. Think about you out there in the world. You're you, okay? Now, imagine running into you every day. That'd get pretty annoying, right? It's kind of nice to have a different flavor of people out there to talk to and communicate to and bounce ideas off of. That's the spice of variety. That's what makes life interesting. That's what helps us all perpetuate and become better people and challenge each other and make us be better. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, those are a couple of podcasts that I listened to this past week. Like I said, I think because I've been sick, I haven't been able to do as much as normal. But again, I am taking Mucinex now, or like a generic Mucinex. Walmart has this. If you don't know, Mucinex is basically guaifenesin. If you read the active ingredients on the back, it says guaifenesin under Mucinex. That's the stuff, that's the expectorant that gets the stuff out of you. So I'm taking the guaifenesin. It's helping get all this stuff out of me. I can feel it like piling up in my face. You can see my face is kind of puffy. Oh, but anyway, so I'm taking the guaifenesin and I am getting this stuff out of me. That's helping more than anything. That and a little bit of NyQuil at night. I took NyQuil last night and I was able to sleep. Yay. The weird part about NyQuil is it works until a certain point. And, you know, the strange thing is that it works up until it doesn't. And the part that it doesn't is usually whenever your nose starts to run to the point that it just about dribbles out into a long drip. And suddenly it's like, have you ever seen the movie Inception, where they talk about going into the deep sleep and they have the guy in the chair and they said they have to wake up part where he senses he's about to fall and he wakes himself up? It's sort of like that, except with nose dribble, which is gross, but it's interesting. So this morning at, 6 a.m., I'm asleep, deep sleep, just like the movie Inception. You know, there's all kind of craziness happening in my dreams. And all of a sudden I feel that moment of, oh my God. And it was the moment where snot's dribbling out of my nose. And I'm like, oh. and I had to catch it with my hand, which is sexy, obviously. But then, get up and go to the bathroom and blow my nose. Again, thank you to Kleenex. This is going to be the first nose blowing on the podcast. You ready? Oh, that's good. See, the listener right there, they appreciate that. They'll be like, you know what? This is what makes podcasting real. He's sick and he's still plowing through it. I'm a trooper, man. Marine Corps. You got to do what's necessary. And sometimes you got to blow your nose. I know some people are like, oh my God, that's so gross. I can't believe you just did that on camera. Oh my sensitivities. Get over it. It's fine. Listen, if you don't blow your own nose, who's blowing your nose? I mean, really, do you not blow your nose? What kind of alien crazy person are you if you don't blow your nose? But where was I at? What was I? Oh yeah, Inception. So yeah, I woke up startled, nose running, all good. But that's obviously when the NyQuil wears off. So when the NyQuil wears off, it's like, all right, it's time for something else. Thank God I had the day off today because, like I said, 2 days of working sick, and I feel like I'm running at like 65%, normal level. But today, having the extra day, I was able to sleep a bit, and then this morning get up and immediately just throw some coffee down my gullet, which helps with the sinus pressure. Take some guaifenesin, start wiping my nose 1,000 times. Made some breakfast. Breakfast is the most important meal of the day, so they say. Had some sausages, and that was delightful. I always have a moment of the show where I talk about stuff I've watched on Netflix. I know you guys are probably sick of talking about Netflix, but we're still watching Sons of Anarchy. But I'm in like the first couple of episodes of Sons of Anarchy of season 6, and it is so violent that we have to take breaks. We watched 2 episodes last night, and we were like, I got to have something else to watch. I can't watch this before I go to bed. So we watched John Mulaney special, which was pretty funny. I'd heard about it on other podcasts. I heard other comedians talk about it and talk about how they appreciated it because it was something that they can't do. They were like, he's funny, but he's not like me. Again, we talk about how you don't want to watch people that are like you because then you're like, oh, look, there I am on stage. Who cares? Even when I go back and I watch my own videos, as soon as I hear my voice start talking, I'm like, shut up. Nobody wants to hear that. But then obviously somebody does because here you are. And I thank you. Thank God. But it was funny. But I'd also taken NyQuil. So as it was funny, I'm also falling asleep. But I didn't have a dream about any of the violent stuff that I saw on Son of Anarchy when I went to bed last night, and I slept great. And I don't know if it was due to John Mulaney or just the fact that my brain switched gears, or if it was the NyQuil-induced sleep of the Inception type movie scenario where the nose dribble and all that stuff. I don't know. I'm just thankful that I had something to divert my brain from what I saw in the episode that I'd watched because it was pretty violent. It's weird how normal it is for you to watch violence on TV to that level and then just proceed with your life like everything's okay. But, here we are. But anyway, I have been watching Luke Cage season 2. I've heard a lot of people talk about it, and I finally have jumped on the bandwagon. I binge watched it. I binge watched the crap out of it Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and today, and I finished it today. And this season ended perfect. It was a great ending the way they wrapped it up. The guy who plays Luke Cage is a monster of a man. He's a big man. The guy they had playing his dad had just the most amazing voice too. Very deep baritone kind of voice. Good guy to play his dad. Spoiler alert, at the very end, they do a memoriam where I guess that guy had passed away. And they're like, rest in peace, this guy. And so I guess he won't be there for season 3, is what I'm saying. Sorry. And it's not going to spoil anything in the show. I'm just telling you the guy who plays his dad doesn't make it for season 3. Not in the show, but in life, in general. So anyway, I don't know what I'm going on a tangent like that for, but anyway, what am I talking about? I guess what I'm saying is Unofficial podcast sponsor Ricola. I need to do like a regular fake advertisement thing as kind of like an homage to Doug Stanhope or something, Or I get on one morning and I talk about, I could do it like things I want, and a new camera or a new laptop. Oh, you got to check out the latest so and so, and just talk about something, and it has no affiliation to me whatsoever, but I could just fake advertise for it. That'd be funny. Or what if it, like, because Doug does stuff for like his local places he goes to eat, like local diners and stuff. I did that with King Hefe, but that's only entertaining to me, I'm sure. I have a special guest that just walked in, and she's going to interrupt my podcast unless she's going to disappear. There she goes. Oh, well, she disappeared. Never mind. Thought she was going to be a special guest. My wife, ladies and gentlemen. No, she's not here. She just walked in the other room. But anyway, I'm going to make this a shorter podcast because my nose is draining, and I don't want to blow my nose a second time on the podcast. I am doing this live on YouTube. Like I said, this was just an experiment to see if I could, to see how it would look. And I got people writing in. One Lonely Farmer's on here now. Hey, buddy. I'm real impressed with what you're doing, and you're kicking butt. And I would love to do a podcast with you. We could talk about anything, dude. You know me. I'm open. I would say if you want to do a podcast with me, probably the easiest way to do it is if you downloaded the Anchor app on your phone, and we could link up through that, or we could work out something through the phone where we call and do the speakerphone thing like I did with Greg. I got the little phone thing. I got the microphone over here. Oh, we could do that. We could do all kinds of stuff. I'm open. I'm good for it. What do you want to talk about? That's the question. We could talk about politics, religion, parallel universes, aliens, ghosts. You could tell me about things you're passionate about. What is it you're passionate about? This is for all of you out there. What is it that you enjoy talking about? What is it that you're into? I'm down. So for now, that's it. I'm going to wrap this up. Can't think of anything else. So thank you to whatever cold I have for sponsoring this podcast, Mr. Cold. I don't think it's a cold, some kind of sinus infection. But anyway, if you're listening to this audio version, you're going to be like, dude, seriously? You're talking the whole time while sick? Yeah. Because that's what a champion does. He pushes through. So for now, I'm going to wrap this up. If I can figure out how to turn my iPad back on. There we go. And y'all take care. And One Lonely Farmer, we'll be in touch, buddy. I'm going to figure this out. Stay tuned for a message from me, and we'll communicate. Okay? All right. For everybody else, drive safe out there. Be cool to one another. Check out some of these podcasts, especially the Perry Noble one, Second Chance Church. You're going to love it. Okay. And end.